everyone. This is Gwyneth Limang and together with my partner, Mr. John Stefano Villegas, will share to you an insightful research of Oboco entitled Teaching Language Through Literature, an Innovative Paradigm. This study emerged because of the issue based on the reductive interpretation of using or applying literature in teaching of language. So language professionals want to put emphasis that learning language and studying literature should be separated, and this led to the restricted role of literature in the language classroom. So we cannot disassociate. Next. We cannot disassociate the connection of language from literature since it appears difficult to talk about language without ulit. We cannot disassociate the connection of language from literature since it appears difficult to talk about language without discussing the purpose. So neither can the purpose be discussed without talking about the medium that conveys the purpose. So a quote by Yilmaz concludes to one point that both literature and language can serve as complement to each other, and literature being an ally of language by Bromfitt and Carter. So the research underlines the importance of motivating learners through the use of literature as a prospective instrument for effective stimulation for long-term educational growth, and employs strategies about literature in English language instruction. Okay, so the study's findings led to researchers establishing an innovative paradigm for integrating literature into English language study, which can best enhance language education at any level of study. So now Mr. Villegas shall lead us rather to the teaching strategies.
Thank you, Ms. Gwyn. There are different barriers that we encounter when we teach language with the use of literature. But here are some strategies that we can use to accommodate the needs of our learners with special needs. The first barrier we have is the barrier of language of text. To overcome this, we SPED teachers must use words that are common to our students so that they will easily understand the literary itself. For example, instead of using the word nonplus in a sentence, just use the simple word that is synonymous to it, such as confused. See, it is easy to be understand. The next barrier is the length of text. Given that some of our learners with special needs has only short span of time when reading, we the SPED teachers must choose reading materials that are suited to the time of the class. And if it is too long, assign the student to read the other half as an assignment for them. In that way, we can complete the reading materials or the context. For example, instead, if you know that your class is just for 30 minutes, so choose some reading materials that can be read in just one sitting, such as the story of the turtle and the monkey. The next barrier we have is the cultural competency. To accommodate the needs of our SPED learners, we should maintain the theme of the text must correlate to some degree to the country or culture of the readers. For example, if your student are Filipino, then find some literary pieces that are made by Filipinos. In that way, the student can actually engage themselves because they can actually relate to the culture. The last barrier we have is the student interest. Literary text selected should be ones which can stimulate personal involvement and arouse the student, especially our learners with special needs. We need to have their interest. For example, since students now are very involved in online games such as Mobile Legends, try to give them stories that the character are ML players. In that way, they can actually engage since their interest has been met. As a conclusion, the importance of literature in language learning cannot be overstated. Literature, as stated in the article, aids students in learning English while also improving their communicative competence, developing learning methods, developing language abilities such as listening, reading, speaking, and writing, and enhancing students' understanding and responses to text. That's why, as a future educator, our first concern is to enhance students' capacities to apply language in both basic language skills. The study of language through literature is a novel paradigm. In fact, it is a novel strategy that is more appealing than the old method, which relies heavily on verbal comprehension because engaging our kids in a variety of literary works will boost their motivation, critical and creative thinking skills, vocabulary, reading comprehension, writing skills, language skills, and the cultural enrichment. And that would be all.